We're ready? Vic, ready? Good morning. Calling to order the special meeting of the Jackson City Council. Today's date is December 19th. The time is approximately 10:03 a.m. Colleagues, are there any opening comments?
Mr. President.
Yes, sir.
We just found out moments ago that our colleague Esther Urbina was admitted to Jackson State's Master's in Public Policy and Public Administration program. So I wish to offer her tremendous success in her efforts.
That's great, Esther. Everybody wants to be a Jacksonian. Very good. Anyone else? All right, colleagues, we're going to go ahead and start with this agenda. We have a very short agenda, but it may turn into a lengthy meeting depending on your questions. We're going to go ahead and start with agenda item number 1.
Order confirming the mayor's appointment of Dr. Wanda Cahey to the planning board.
So moved.
Second.
All right, it's been moved in properly second. Dr. Cahey, if you don't mind coming up to the hot seat, please. All who are coming up for confirmation today, we're going to ask that you please sit here. Y'all make room. You can come on around. All right. Good morning. All right, if you turn on the light there, and I'm going to ask the mayor to introduce you, and then if you could give us a little background about yourself, and and then we'll go with our round of questions. Mr. Mayor?
Thank you, Mr. President. I am honored to put before the City Council for confirmation the nomination of Dr. Wanda Cahey. She comes highly recommended from a very good and close friend of mine, Ms. Joyce Jackson, who was one of the long-standing members of the planning board, and Joyce said, look, I'm ready to throw in the towel, but I cannot recommend a better person to replace me in Ward 3 than Dr. Wanda Cahey, and so it gives me great pleasure to offer her up for confirmation to the council.
All right, thank you. Dr. Cahey?
Sure. I want to extend greetings to everyone here, the Honorable Mayor John Horn, and President Dr. Brian Brazell, and all the other councilmen, persons. And I'm here with my family, my parents, Jerry Will Cahey Sr., and my mother, Vera Harris Cahey, and my uncle, Charles Harris. And I would like to acknowledge the nomination by Mrs. Joyce Jackson, a remarkable person. And I thank her for the nomination, and I would like to thank Mayor John Horn for the appointment, and for the council with the City of Jackson for the approval. And it's with honor that I sit here today, and I extend a positive connection to work with you in a effort that would be favorable not only to this city, but to its residents in planning the future of this great city.
All right, thank you. All right, colleagues, we're going to go ahead and start with our first round of questions. Ward 1, Mr. Foote.
Thank you, Mr. President, and thank you. Is it Dr. Cahey?
Yes, it is.
What kind of doctor are you?
Doctor of Pharmacy.
Pharmacy, okay.
Yeah, I obtained that from Florida A&M College of Pharmacy and Pharmaceutical Sciences in Tallahassee.
Very good. Well, I appreciate your willingness to serve on the planning board. It performs some very important functions for the city of Jackson and its input for the city council. Thank you so much. I don't have any questions.
All right, thank you. Ward 5, Mr. Harlan.
Yes, morning, Dr. Cahey.
Hello.
Folks, I believe that there's 3 things that in my mind, defines her, and that is community. I've worked with her in cleanup operations in parts of her neighborhood, and just an amazing person. Community, then history, with her father, civil rights, and history and heritage would be that second thing, and then professionalism. And she has my full 100% support of this, and a good move there, Mayor.
All right. Ward 6, Ms. Brown.
Thank you. I don't have any question, but thank you for what you do.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Ward 7, Mr. Parkinson.
Thank you so much for being here. I'm new to my role here, and one of the things that I've had to learn the most about that I did not know, I've gotten a whole crash course in municipal land use and zoning and planning issues. I did not know much about that at all. And it really has a huge effect on the city. And I've learned it can at times be a really tricky balance to make sure that we're supporting growth and business and economic development while also protecting neighborhoods and residents and individual rights as well. And that's a tricky balance. And I appreciate you greatly for wanting to get into that and all the minutia of R2 versus R3 and what does this mean and that mean. So thank you for doing that. The planning board in part because of vacancies has had to miss a few meetings because they just haven't had quorum. And so I would just implore that if confirmed, please go to these meetings because that holds up important efforts. And so I appreciate you doing that. And I just thank you so much for your willingness to serve and appreciate all the work that you'll do on that board. Thank you.
Thank you, and I'll be there.
All right, very good. Dr. Cahey, I served in a couple of capacities before becoming a council member. One of my first was actually on the planning board, and I served full term there, and then I went to the Civil Service Commission, and then the council. We know that the planning board is a fact-finding body, and it's really important, in addition to showing up, that the commissioners on that board are actually engaged and are asking questions. I know a lot of times, there may be some groupthink, folks just going along to get along, but we really need people who are exercising due diligence to make sure they have all the information necessary to make a decision, because after you all vote, the cases come to us, and we are the final voice when it comes to these planning and zoning cases. You're not an elected official, but we do know that depending on the case and the matter, you may feel pressured or be pressured by outside voices who want you to vote a certain way to support a certain project. And I think it's important for you to stand, as we say in my neck of the woods, 10 toes down on your decision. Communicate with your council person, communicate with the planning director, communicate with the zoning director, and just make sure that you're making really good decisions, okay? Because if, for instance, the planning board makes a decision and we uphold that decision or we go against it, they can appeal in Hinds County Court. We don't want to, waste a lot of money trying to defend our decisions. Another thing, and I know you've been around Jackson a while, just like I have, make sure you drive the city. Okay, they used to, the planning director at the time would take us, get a trolley or a bus and take us throughout the city to kind of look at some of the pending projects. When you get your agenda packet, make sure that you're well knowledge in terms of where the property is, what they're trying to do, because again, they're depending on you all to make really good decisions. I served with Mrs. Jackson, a lot of other folks, Mr. Book, who's been there a very long time, and they really know what to do. But I just want to make sure that I share that with you. Based on your experience, what do you think are some of the most pressing issues in terms of zoning and even economic development? Because again, before I got on the council, Costco was trying to come to Jackson.
Okay.
And the planning board at that time shot it down. And there was a lot of moving pieces to it, but that was one of those things that still haunts the city. And, you're a pharmacist, you're a business person, you're educated, and I know that you love Jackson just as much as I do. But just right off the top, what do you think are some of the pressing issues here in the city?
Number one, I would say the residents of Jackson have to believe in Jackson and to know that Jackson is, and Jackson can, and Jackson must move forward with the input from community residents. Listen to them.
Yes.
Find out what's going on, find out what is needed, And then, as you stated, have the ethical and moral responsibilities to see if you can assist in bringing about favorable outcomes for the city. One of the pressing issues, not only with the mindset of the residents, would be the appearance of the city. When the residents, they lived here, how are their communities? Because the physical environment where they live, work, and play affects a lot. Their health, for one thing, and that's my area, public health. So we need to look at, I would say, the areas. We have, I could just say, an example would be the residential areas. What's surrounding them? Is it a lot of environmental concerns, noise pollution, crime? And I think, you know, if we get the residents happy and peaceful, then I think Jackson would be okay.
All right, good deal. Well, do we need another round of questions? Mr. Hartley?
Not really a question, but that's a comment. And Dr. Cahey, I think in the past, we've had an issue with some of my communities and the need to, where they've been told what was going to happen around them instead of bringing them in and embracing them and said, okay, let's work together. Here's some ideas. What do you think? And it being a group effort. So I certainly appreciate you saying that. The other thing is, in my mind, as we try to tackle this blight issue, is zoning. Zoning and the planning department. I believe that, you know, we can do a better job of pulling planning and community improvement together. Recently, I saw a case where one person is adding to save the city to grant them a favor in a zoning, or that's, well, it's not a favor, but put in a zoning request. And you look around their property and they have serious community improvement violations. And so I think we need to look at, when we're examining these zoning issues, the history, the compliance history already. Because when they're asking for this, they're asking for something from the city. But what we need is we need them to understand that you have to have responsibility taking care of your own property first before we give you a special exception or something like that. So that's one thing, but thank you for stepping up. I know you do a wonderful job in this capacity.
Thank you, Councilman Harvey.
Thank you.
Mr.
Colleagues?
President,
Yes, sir.
if I might say that Dr. Cahey has a demonstrated history of working in the community. She's been involved with disaster preparedness. She's been involved with the State Board of Health for a number of decades. She also has previous work with the Jackson Heart Study and work as a community partner with the Department of Urban and Regional Planning at Jackson State. Hearing that, I'm really convinced that she's going to be a great board member for our planning department. And as I say, if George Jackson recommends her, that's good enough for me.
George Jackson was a hellraiser, I know.
And Mr. President, she's mentioned also that she has some of her family here. Mr. and Mrs. Cahey are here with us today. And Mr. Cahey was one of the Tougaloo Nine. So he is a hero for this city and this community. And she also is joined by her uncle, Mr. Charles Harris, and he is of legend running the HEED program, which is a housing advocacy and fair housing program that specializes in helping folks who don't have help otherwise. So I want to ask that the council recognize them and give them a round of applause.
Thank you. All right, colleagues, we're going to go ahead and call for the vote. All in favor? All right, congratulations.
Thank you.
And I know you've already introduced your folks, but if you brought anybody else here that you would like to recognize here in the chamber, please feel free to do so now.
I don't think anyone else came with me, but I would like to recognize, as Councilman Hartley stated, his work with me in the community. There's some members of the planning department that are here with me. Michael Davis, I think I saw Jennifer West, I've worked with them in the past, Neighborhood Services. Yes, so I appreciate it. I look forward
Congratulations.
to continued working.
Thank you. Item 2, clerk.
Order confirming the mayor's appointment of Angela Brown as Director of the Department of Planning and Development for the City of Jackson, Mississippi.
So moved.
Second.
All right, it's been moved and properly second. Mr. Mayor?
Thank you, Mr. President. Ms. Angela Brown is a consummate professional. I actually discovered that she was with us when we found out that we had 3 Bloomberg Fellows working on innovation for the city of Jackson. She has been leading that team, and I've been so impressed with her work and the belief that she can help reorganize, restructure our planning and our development department into a leaner, meaner fighting machine, particularly as it relates to building and permitting, zoning, and all the other things that help to facilitate progress in our city. She already has a plan for how she can get better production out of these sub departments within planning, and I highly recommend her confirmation.
All right, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Ms. Brown?
Yes, good morning, everyone. I'm excited to join you all here today. Just a little bit about myself. I am a native of Jackson. Went here, born and raised, left to go to school, and had the opportunity to come back a little more than a year ago to lead innovation, as the mayor just mentioned, for the city of Jackson. So during that time, I've had a chance to learn a lot about planning and development. Also talk to residents, staff to understand many of the issues here, and just think of ways how we can help work together, co-design solutions to help make Jackson a place where we all want to live, work, and play. And part of that has also been looking at workforce development, and so working with developers and business owners as well to understand, as the mayor mentioned, much about the permitting and licensing process. So I'm excited to bring together for this role my 20 years of experience managing complex systems, leading organizational change, and also strengthening service delivery for this role, as well as working with you all, working with our residents, the great staff that we have over there in planning and development, businesses and others to help build a more innovative, modern planning and development department that is open and welcoming to development, letting them know that we are excited to have them here and working with them to make sure that we see Jackson grow.
All right, thank you. Colleagues, we're going to go ahead and start with the first round of questions. Ward 1, Ms. Foote.
Thank you, Mr. President. Ms. Brown, appreciate your willingness to take on this task. It's an important task, particularly in what we're trying to do to make Jackson rise again. And one of the complaints I've heard many times over my 10 years in the council has been the turnaround of permitting. That they try to get a permit, and it takes them, a month, where if they go to, Ridgeland or Madison, it takes 48 hours or something like this. I mean, and I don't have all the notes from it, but I've heard that over and over again, where frustration with getting permits issued so they can go on and finish building and whatever they're doing, or, expanding their property, or, a number of different things. And I wonder myself if it's just a process problem where we're not tracking requests that come in and keeping the people that are doing the permitting on the job out there, working with the people who are trying to build stuff and do other things in the city of Jackson. Can you give me an idea of what you have in mind for making sure our processes are working efficiently for the citizens?
Awesome, and I saw a lot of head nods as you were asking that question, so definitely understand the major issue there. And I think coming into the role, want to take time to do an assessment of kind of the processes that we have in place. Currently look at the system. I think there's definitely some opportunities to improve on the process that we currently have, especially how we collect data and recording that information as well. And so one of the things that we want to test kind of quickly coming in is this idea of a one-stop shop, so kind of combining the licensing and permitting role into one, and assigning kind of leaders to help guide businesses and owners through that development, that licensing and permitting process. And so looking at different models to do that so that, first of all, that it's easy to navigate the process. So as you come into the city and want to develop a business or get your permittings, that you understand the steps involved in that process. So having someone to help you navigate through that process, as well as improving the way the reviews that are taking place throughout the organizations to kind of move that along. So definitely want to set some baselines to that and try to get that down as quickly as we can. The other piece of that is how do we improve the communication? So looking at our website and how when people are trying to find information about it, that there's clear details about their process. So even coming in, there's a way you understand different, like whatever business, the processes that take place. You can actually do some early research to try to figure out the property that you're looking at and some of the zoning requirements around that. So definitely want to make it a more resident-friendly, transparent process, and even having data to kind of report our metrics of how long it's taken us to process so that residents or customers can understand that coming into Jackson. Other things, we're going to look at other improvements that we can make along the way, but I know definitely we want to make sure that this is a customer-friendly environment, and that we even update some of our platforms that make it a lot easier and more efficient for our staff to move through the process as well. So we do have a platform, still a little manual, so as much as we can take some of the manual process out of that and build more of an automated system for permanent licensing, we want to see about implementing those things.
Thank you. That's the only question I got.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Hartley, Ward 5.
Well, good morning, Mr. Brown. First of all, I share my colleagues' concern. Permitting, get a lot of issues out of that, a lot of complaints. And so I'm glad to hear that that's one of the priorities. The other one, as I mentioned earlier, is zoning, connecting zoning to community improvement. If someone is out there already destroying our neighborhoods with bad practices and in violation of our community improvement laws, then we should not reward them with zoning variances and other things, simply put. And into that same thing, as you know, as in our discussion, my priority is blight. Okay, and to that end, code enforcement, I believe we need to be very, very proactive with that. A recent discussion with one of the environmental judges, we will be following up and having a discussion that involves jail time. We will have a shock and awe. We will bring people to be responsible for their properties that are destroying our property values and destroying our streets and our communities. So we will be following up with something that would definitely get their attention, that you're doing damage to our city and to our people. Again, those are my biggest priorities, that permitting, the community improvement and zoning connection, and the code enforcement. That's all. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Mr. Hartley. Ward 6, Ms. Brown.
Thank you for taking on the position. And basically, I agree with my colleagues in reference to the permits and the making sure that the properties be kept. And thank you.
Thank you. Ward 7, Mr. Parkinson.
Thank you very much. A week or two ago, we hadn't known each other at all, but you very graciously came to me and we had a very long, very extensive meeting about a wide range of issues. And I left that with a very favorable first impression. And so I think you know a lot about planning, but I don't think you're a planning wonk necessarily. I think your real skill is in leadership, in change management, systems management, and innovation. And I think that is great. There are a lot of phenomenal employees in the planning department. And if you can lean on their expertise and help them connect the dots between the different divisions, I think the department can really, really rise. And so I think your skill and expertise in leadership is exactly what the department needs. Not to say you don't know anything about planning, because I think you know a lot about planning, but really the planning experts are in your department, and your role is to help provide them support and coordination and amplify their work. So I think that's exactly what we need. A couple questions that I'll have. One is, we've talked about so many issues, and planning really does a lot. What are your goals? What are your main goals if you were to be confirmed?
Yes, so I think first coming in is really getting an assessment of the department, understanding the staff, kind of their roles, some of their concerns and things that they see to improve the department. I also want to get a baseline of some of the processes that we all have mentioned, so understanding how long it's actually taking to process licensing and permitting, the community improvement process, kind of those details, our housing, we have transportation. So just really understanding some of those baseline goals, and then working with the team, working with you all and residents to try to see how we can make improvements and get some implementation things in place for that. Kind of overall, large picture goals, I really want to see improvements in customer service, and the way that we are being received by our residents, improvement in the licensing and permitting processes, seeing there's ways that we can actually do some cross-efficiency training with staff to kind of improve some efficiencies there where we may have capacity challenges. And I think that's pretty much it, coming into the door and then just working there and seeing how we can continue to improve.
Great. And my last question is, if confirmed, how do you plan to work with City Council?
Hopefully we work with you all a lot. You can have my cell number. Definitely want to have open, transparent conversations with you all. So as you all have issues that arise, you feel free reaching out to me. As we have needs, that you're open and welcome to me reaching out with you. Definitely, I've met with 2 of you, so working with all of you, I've heard some of your concerns, but understanding some of those from your residents, and bringing it back in and seeing how we can work to address many of the concerns that our residents are having.
Yeah, I will just, again, commend your responsiveness. I know our president sent out some additional questions, and you answered them quite thoroughly. So, again, I just, I didn't know you previously, but my first impressions are extremely favorable. I will happily be supporting your nominations, and I hope that same spirit and energy.
All right, thank you, Mr. Parkinson. Ms. Brown, colleagues, I'm not sure if y'all took time to read it, but I sent 28 questions to Ms. Brown because of time, we wouldn't have a chance to visit, and she responded in 15 pages. And I appreciate that because you gave some really good answers. You did your homework. I appreciate that. You know, I'm an educator, so good job. You get a star. They've already talked about the licensing and permit, right? My concern is the follow-through with code enforcement. Ward 4 alone has over 1,000 cases in code enforcement, all right? And I'm not sure about the other council members' offices, but my office, we watch how things move through the process. Over time, some of those cases have been dropped. And you know, I know there's this 2018 international standard that, you know, the city tries to, you know, get compliance from property owners. But things tend to be they seem to be moving a lot slowly. And Mr. Parkinson, I think, really appreciate this. He's a big process person, as am I. And so when the officers go out and upload pictures, I check. And, you know, and if they pass an inspection, but the case addresses what's in the picture, that's a problem for me, all right? And so I would just really like to see that process managed a lot more closely. In my mind, other than the mayor and the council, the 2 most important positions in municipal leadership, your planning director and your public works director, they make or break the operation of the city. And so, you know, I've done an urban and regional planning program. I think our planners are great. We have some fantastic brains over there, but we can be a little slow. We're diligent, but we can be a little slow. But when it comes to operating the city, we got to have some speed to get these things taken care of. And I think the mayor would really appreciate that, just like the rest of my council colleagues. And so, having said that, and reading all 15 pages of your response, you do have my support, all right? Colleagues, are there any more questions? Mr. Mayor?
Thank you, Mr. President. Being nimble is something that our planning and development department has not been known to be. And so one of the things, and to Councilman Parkinson's, point, we took our time to try to find the right person. I think we found that right person. And it's her leadership skills that impressed me the most. How do we get we've got all this talent over there. How do we get the most out of them? How do we keep the process nimble and moving and sensible? Whether it's building and permits, whether it's code enforcement and how the process is about buildings that have a situation where there's an issue, it gets reported, and then if a certain amount of time goes back, you're back at the beginning of the process. That's ridiculous. It makes absolutely no sense. And so those are the kinds of things that we want to fix. We want our city to be to be open for business, first of all, but also to have some demands of its citizens. We've been too lax in this city about code enforcement.
Yes.
That's going to change. And I believe that Ms. Brown is going to help lead us in the right direction.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Colleagues, any more questions or comments? Hearing none, all in favor? All right. Congratulations, Ms. Brown.
Ms. Brown?
Did you bring anyone here that you would like to introduce today?
Sure, let me see. My sister's here. And
Hello,
actually,
sister.
the team from Planning and Development came back to support me. And
right.
also one of our community partners, Miss Jeannie, is here. Oh, and Lorenzo. So definitely,
All right.
they're here. And my civic designer from the Bloomberg Innovation Team is joining us as well.
All right. Thank you so much. Congratulations. All right. Item 3.
Order confirming the mayor's appointment of Benita Burt to the Jackson Housing Authority Board.
Second.
It's been moved and properly second. Ms. Burt, please come up. All right, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. President. It gives me great pleasure to offer for confirmation the nomination of Benita Burt, who is an old friend of mine, going back about, gosh, maybe 40 years.
No.
Yes, it was at least that long. Yes, it was. You asked the question, what can she do? My response is, what hasn't she done? Benita Burt brings a wealth of experience, accomplishment to this particular position. I first met her when we worked in the Ray Mabus administration in what was then called Department of Economic Development, and now it's the Mississippi Development Authority. She ran the Jobs Training Partnership Act program under the Department of Labor, and was nominated by Governor Mabus for that position. She's worked as head of Urban League for the state of Mississippi. She also has run a number of organizations that dealt with human capital development. She served as a deputy director of our Human and Cultural Services. She served on the Jackson Redevelopment Authority as a commissioner. I could go on and on and on. The fact of the matter is that she's eminently qualified to serve in the position on the Jackson Housing Authority and will bring a wealth of innovation and leadership to that position and to that organization. And it is for that reason that I offer her up for confirmation through this nomination.
All right, thank you. Ms. Burt?
Good morning.
Good morning.
It's my pleasure to be here today to be confirmed for this important position. Public service has really been public service, is that better? Public service has really been my entire life, actually. From the time that I had my first job out of college with the Central Mississippi Planning and Development District, all the way through state government, and even in city government. I was the Deputy Director of Human and Cultural Services, dealing with at that time, I guess about 8 different departments within the city of Jackson: Human and Cultural Services, the Arts, employment and training, the daycare programs, all of those programs that basically dealt with humans, with people, and making sure. So I was really interested in those because, community is important. And the only way that I think that communities absolutely progress and that people participate is that they be involved in the process. There is clearly something called community-based participatory research. And what it says is that if we are to be successful in anything, then we have to bring the community in first, not second, not when the budget is done, not when we want to have a sign that says that the community participated, but at the very beginning. And so that's been the way that I've conducted programs in which I've had the honor of working with. The Urban League, as everybody knows, is a community organization that looks at economic development and self-sufficiency among communities. So that's really been part of my work. I was president of the Jackson School Board and served as chair of the Jackson Chamber of Commerce and actually was elected chair of the Jackson Redevelopment Authority. And worked in New York as an intermediary that developed programs across the country just to determine the efficiency of them to see if they could be replicated on a large scale. So now I am retired, y'all. You know? But people are not allowing me to retire, but this is, it's an honor because housing is important. And it's generational in terms of improving the health of the community. So I'm honored to be here.
All right, thank you. We're going to start with our first round of questions. Ward 1, Mr. Foote.
Thank you, Mr. Byrd. I appreciate very much your willingness to serve in this position. Housing is a really important issue for Jackson, obviously. We have hundreds of homeless people and thousands of peopleless homes without people. How can Jackson, that's not the way it should be. I mean, how can the Jackson Housing Authority help us address the problems we have, the empty homes, the blight, and everything else? What can they do to help us?
You know, the whole idea of the actual development of the Jackson Housing Authority many years ago was to make sure that there were places where low and moderate income individuals could find a place for safety, where they could raise their families in the neighborhoods where they are safe. And so with the Jackson Housing Authority, whose work really is to provide housing for low income and moderate income individuals through its voucher program or through its other programs, then it starts there with developing programs to help people understand the whole process of homeownership. What does that mean? Preparing people for pre-purchase counseling, those kinds of things. We have homeless folks, some of whom, by the grace of God, all of us, who have absolutely been in good stead, but have lost positions. And I know that the Housing Authority cannot place homeless individuals in homes. However, there are ways to do that you're able to start an avenue to which people can be positioned to get into knowing what homeownership is. And the homeless individuals that we see on our city, the city can provide that kind of support for them through programs like the Jackson Housing Authority.
Thank you. Ward 5, Mr. Harley.
Yes, first of all, Ms. Byrd, thank you for stepping up and thanks for a lifetime of commitment to service and public service. Just a couple of things and just briefly, if you could provide some brief answers. Apartment complexes. We're currently having a rash of apartments that management have failed the individuals, and we're having a whole hold a big issue with a lot of these apartments. What are some of your thoughts or ideas, just generally?
Well, you know, when, let's,
Pull it closer.
when you are looking at, let's just say that if you're looking at an apartment, deciding whether you want to be in an apartment as opposed to looking at homes, purchasing a home. Well, there are preparations for both of them. There's preparation for knowing what to expect when you move into an apartment, what to expect when you move into a home. So there's some pre-counseling that could go on for first time for people who are perhaps not accustomed to their first apartment, for instance. Understanding what that means, understanding what their responsibilities are, but also making sure that they understand what the management responsibility is. There is such a thing as tenant management associations. And tenant management associations, the tenants form alliances themselves because they want to hold management accountable, just as accountable as management wants to hold them accountable. So in some of the instances we've had in the city around management and apartments and tenants not knowing that their rent wasn't being taken in, then a tenant management association takes care of all of that because you have the opportunity to develop, just like you are a council, they develop tenant management associations and have the same level of responsibility to make sure that you paid the rent that I gave you, that you paid the mortgage, that you paid everything, that you keep the apartment in good stead, that there's not dilapidated anything. So there are opportunities, but it requires some education and training and people willing to actually, you know, take that responsibilities for themselves.
Thank you.
That's it.
Well,
All right.
I have more, but
Go ahead, go ahead.
okay, that's, the other thing is, how do we, have you, right now, the city of Jackson has more rentals than homeowners. Any thoughts on how we can turn that around?
Well, I think that people make decisions as to whether they want to be homeowners or renters, I think, based upon their past history. Some people, some of our community individuals, their families have always lived in apartments. And so they don't have what it means. Some people pay more for apartments than they pay for mortgages.
Yes.
And that's not something that somebody would just ordinarily want. However, if you don't know that, then you do what you've been trained for. You do what you grew up with. And so I think that what would be really helpful if there was like pre-purchasing counseling in a real way that lets people understand, even if you're not ready for a home, that you can be in an apartment and understand what it means to own a home.
Right.
And, one of the things I think some of our realtors friends do is when people are looking for homes is to take a young couple, for instance, to a space that they clearly cannot afford. And so when they do that, then every other house to which they can afford is a disappointment to them. So before you even start thinking about that, the idea of how much house can I own, let's go to the bank. But before that, let's check out our credit and let's see what we can do. Let's go to the bank. Let's know that I can own a house for X number of dollars before you show me one, and then show me one. And then you can then be able to start looking at that. And then, children might say, mom and dad has a house. When I grow up, I want a house too. But some people would rather have apartments, and that's clearly legitimate. That there are circumstances where folks want to have an apartment, but everybody has a responsibility. But I think that we, the ones who are the bankers and everybody needs to understand what that means to its fullest extent. Some people don't want to do the yards, don't want to be responsible for all of that stuff. You don't either, And so they rather have an apartment. or a townhouse or something like that. So those are the choices, but we really ought to do pre-purchase counseling. And I think Charles Harris does that back there
Wonderful
a
job.
lot. And there are a couple of other organizations in this community that does that. And I think that would prepare people as to when they got ready to transition, perhaps from an apartment to a home.
Thank you so much.
That's it, Ms. Howard? Yes. All right. Ward 6, Ms. Brown?
Just thank you for your service for all these years. No questions.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Ward 7, Mr. Parkinson?
Thank you. You are so brilliant. I wish we could visit all day and just hear your answer. So thank you for that. I appreciate you answering Mr. Foote and sharing the history of the Jackson Housing Authority. I wasn't aware of all of that, so thank you for sharing that. In terms of their current role and what they currently are charged with, does the Jackson Housing Authority actually administer our Section 8 housing? Do they coordinate those? Do they actually administer that program?
Yes. That program is designed for low to moderate income individuals. There's a percentage of it's income-based, and they have a housing voucher program that is done with private sector folks who want to have their houses available for HUD vouchers. And then there's the other program where they are in apartment-based, that's administered by the housing authority. Yes.
And we are utilizing the full extent of our Section 8. We're not releasing any Section 8 funds.
You know, I will say that in years past, when I have checked with the housing authority, there's always a long list. There's a need for housing in this community. And so there's always a long list. And at some point during the year, perhaps they might open it up for a minute to allow other people to come on. And then there are times when there are emergency basis where somebody is absolutely homeless, and there are opportunities for them to make some decisions that allows those individuals to be able to not skip to the top, but to be served. And you know, I don't know how the city is utilizing its Stewart-McKinney Act, Councilman Foote, but that is for the Stewart-McKinney Homeless Act. I think it's named something else now.
McKinney.
Is monies that comes from the government specifically to address issues of homelessness. And it's the Stewart B. McKinney Act. And those dollars have the opportunity, when administered in a way through community organizations, through other kinds of agencies, to be able to help people who are homeless. Some people who are homeless really can be brought back to where they were stationed early on. They just simply need the opportunity. So the Housing Authority also looks at areas where they can build low, moderate income for individuals to be able to live in safe, decent housing.
I'm glad you brought that up too. Like many cities across the United States, Jackson struggles with not in my backyard condition, or what's sometimes referred to as NIMBYism, where everybody seems to agree we need more housing stock in our city, but nobody wants it in their particular neighborhood. And I think that's a problem. And so what can we do to have neighborhoods be more amenable to increasing housing stock of a variety of different kinds? And along with that, I think we need more mixed income neighborhoods. We do not have enough mixed income neighborhoods. And so what can the Housing Authority do to spur that?
Well, I think that what could happen is that it's the quality of the housing.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if you live in a neighborhood where the houses at least are connected or comparable to each other, maybe not exactly in design, but when somebody drives in, oh, this is this house, or this is this kind of a house. So I think that the builders have to make sure that what they build is good stuff.
And I
You know
think
what I
that's gonna
mean?
take collaboration
I mean,
between the housing
yes,
authority, the planning department,
precisely.
and the
It
developers.
takes that kind of collaboration
Yep.
to make sure those standards are met and to make sure that the building, the content, the structures, the amenable things, the shrubbery, the everything that goes into a neighborhood that makes it looks like it's a part of it. And then and not to have things so concentrated that it just looks like that's what it is. And then you're able to, people end up looking at a different perspective, even the ones in the apartments look at it as different, and then you are not able to have those kind of negative feelings about, because mixed housing is so important.
I agree.
In many other ways, and on so many other levels as well.
And the last question I have is very similar to what Mr. Hartley said, and I appreciate your note about the pre-counseling before people get into various places, make sure they understand their role and what they're getting into, this, that, the other. But when you have a unit, and let's say you have hundreds of people in that unit, but the unit is trash, the apartment complex is just so terrible. At what point do we step in, and what are our options? What can we do if we have to relocate hundreds of people, as we saw happen recently? Is the housing authority set up to address situations like that? I mean, obviously you try to prevent it as much as possible, but there are some places right now that are just not good. I could think of at least one in my ward that's just really, really substandard. What can we do?
Are you saying it's trashed by?
I would say the one that I'm thinking of, and others share as well, but there's one where folks are paying their rent, but the complex owners are just, they're out-of-state owners. There's somebody in theory who's on site for management, but it has completely abdicated their responsibilities. It's really substandard, subhuman conditions, total lack of safety, total lack of repairs.
Yeah.
I mean, basic things like this, but there's hundreds of people in these complexes.
Well, I don't know the answer to that, but I will say to you that it's not the tenant's responsibility for that. And so it seems to me that there ought to be litigation around that requires that prior to somebody, that there are fines that until it's done. So it seems like that's a legal issue that ought to be vigorously enforced.
Thank you for sharing all your insights. I happily support this nomination, and I thank you for your service.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. To your point and Councilman Parkinson's point, I do, we do need more housing inventory. I do think that we need a better mix, low income, but we also need more market rate homes too, to drive the middle class back into the city. A lot of times young professionals especially tend to move out to the suburbs, Clinton, Madison, Ridgeland, Gluckstadt, which I call the high rent district. But I think that we need to do a better job in terms of having better offerings here in the city. You mentioned putting people, the communities first, right? There's a development right there at the corner of Mega Evers and Northside, 220.
Mm-hmm.
And I appreciate the development, even though Ward 4 is on the other side where St. John is on the other side where this development is Ward 2. And Tina Clay and I caught a lot of heat because the Housing Authority didn't bring the community to the table when they planned this development. And as a result of that, a lot of misinformation was put out there, all right? And a lot of people felt disrespected. A lot of your homeowners, your taxpayers who've been living in that area 30 and 40 years. And so as the Housing Authority continues to work, to put more people in homes and to bring more developments to the area, all I ask is that you please bring the community to the table. because, you know, if they've been over there, they paid off their homes, they're retired, you know, they want to have a say-so. These are key stakeholders. They want to have a say-so in terms of, you know, who's coming into the area, not necessarily saying NIMBYism or being NIMBYist, but I think you create a lot of value when you create these developments, but also have more input in terms of building community. And that's all I really ask.
I agree with you 100%. That's so important.
All right, thank you. Colleagues, are there any more questions?
Just a brief statement.
Yes, sir, Mr. Mayor.
So what, with this nomination, I hope to achieve is to bring the breadth and depth of Ms. Bird's experience and her varied activities that she's been involved with to take the housing authority to a higher level, to address some of the things that are not being addressed by anybody in the city right now. And it appears to me that the organization that can most appropriately do so is the Jackson Housing Authority. So we're expecting the leadership and the genius that we've heard here this morning to be applied to the Housing Authority in the person of Ms. Bird. Mr. President, she also brings with her her former classmate, and I want to talk to you, Judy Woods, a little later. I need to get some intel. But Ms. Judy Woods is here to support her nomination. Also, our county prosecutor, the Honorable Gerald Mumford, is here. And our freshly minted, most recently elected state senator representing District 26, serving Hinds and Madison counties, is Senator Kamisha Mumford.
I see the mayor likes to take away folks' ability to introduce their own. Yes.
But I do it good.
It's all right, it's all right. We'll see what you do next year. We'll see. All right, colleagues, unless there's anything else, because we have one more we need to entertain today, I'm going to go ahead and call for the vote. All in favor? All right, 5-0. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else that you would like to introduce today?
Those were my guests. The mayor did it.
Got it. All right. Well, congratulations. Thank you. All right, item 4.
Order appointing Lee A. Scott II to the Board of Trustees for the Jackson Public School District.
So move.
Second.
It's been moved and properly second. Mr. Scott is actually on life size. Is there a way to make him bigger, clerk? And so I know that he's being put up by the mayor, but at the consideration of Councilwoman Brown Thomas, which one of y'all want to open this one? All right.
Well, thank you. This is very passionate to me because the school board is a very important role for the city of Jackson. If you have a strong school system, it brings economic development, it brings people back to the city. So this choice that I made to nominate him, let me just give you a little rundown of him. He have a Bachelor of Science and a Master of Art from Oral Roberts University. He's a member of the South Jackson Association. He's a board member of Marshalls. He's the president of Mississippi Urban League, and he a mentor of the Red Door of Jackson. And he currently is employed as the assistant director and counselor at Get To College. He also is involved in education, an educator. So, nonetheless, Lee Scott.
All right. Mr. Scott, you come at a good and a bad time because...
Hello, how are you doing, everyone?
I'm great. How you doing? 1 second, please. We got another meeting after this one, and I know you like to talk. So if you could briefly just tell us a little bit about yourself, and then, you know, we're going to give you an opportunity to respond to some questions, and then we'll go from there. All right? You have the mic, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Well, first and foremost, thank you all for this opportunity. First of all, to Mayor Horn, thank you for your leadership and your insight as to what you want to see in the school district and how we can produce the best and brightest in the state of Mississippi. And once again, thank you, Councilwoman Brown Thomas, for even asking me or entrusting me to represent in this way. One thing I do want to say, as someone who is a product of JPS and loves our school district, I think it's vitally important that we have people that are passionate about our students and passionate about our kids. And one of the reasons why I'm not able to be physically present there is because I am dealing with our students and engaging our students today at work. And so I think that is an important responsibility for individuals who serve on the Board of Trustees to understand how we should make sure that our children are getting the best quality education here in the state of Mississippi, and also ensuring that our district leadership is doing everything they can to, again, produce the best and brightest students here in the state of Mississippi, because these young people will be our future business owners, our future leaders, innovators, and folks who make a big difference in our community. And so thank you for the opportunity. Once again, thank you for your time, and I will yield my time for questions.
All right, thank you. Mr. Foote, Ward 1.
Thank you, Mr. Scott, for your willingness to serve. I don't have any questions at this time.
All right, thank you. Ward 5, Ms. Hartley.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Scott, again, for your willingness to serve and stepping up and volunteering. I believe it's important that we do have young leadership that can take our places as we move along in life. And I'm hoping that you'll bring some innovative ideas outside of the box, protect our schools, protect our students, our scholars, and also protect the processes, especially, there's a lot of things that will be on the board for your consideration, and we hope that you'll be a protector of those processes relate to our integrity and our values. So thank you very much for stepping up and volunteering for this position.
Thank you. Ms. Brown Thomas, I know this is your nomination. You have anything to ask?
I don't have any more questions. You probably don't want any more of my questions.
But we're going to go to the educator on the end down there, Mr. Parkinson.
Hello, thank you so much. First of all, thank you, Councilperson Brown Thomas and Mayor Horn, for this exceptional nomination. Mr. Scott, I think you do incredible work. You're in it with the kids. You are in it with the community, and I think that's essential. The school board is so crucially important. Not only do the babies deserve it, the kids deserve really good leadership, but also we on this council can pave every road in the city. We could increase the police to 900 staff members. We could do all the things that people are looking for. But if our school system struggles, people are going to move out. People are going to move out. And so the role of JPS, our largest school system in the city, is so paramount. And I know you take that role seriously. I would say first and foremost, please, please, please be mindful of the education aspect of it. Make sure that these babies have high quality instructional materials. Make sure these babies are exposed to good pedagogy. Those two issues, research says more than anything else, more than technology in the classroom, more than anything else, if you have high quality instructional materials and you have teachers who know how to teach those materials, you're going to do great. So at every board meeting, I hope you will relentlessly focus on and keep the issue on that. We can get all the pretty murals and we could do this, we could do that, and that's great. I love all that stuff. But if we don't have high quality instructional materials and good effective pedagogy, none of it is going to matter. And so first and foremost, I hope you keep the education in mind. And then in addition to the education piece, which is your first and foremost charge, you're running a business. And we're seeing things like a whole bunch of empty buildings that drastically affect our city. And the school system is starting to make some moves on that now, which I'm pleased to see. I wish they would have made some moves previously, but that's the past. And so we need to continue that direction. So one, I would just urge you with the most extreme urgency to focus on the education component itself. We're just now starting to see the true effects of COVID. So I'm expecting letter grades for every school system. This is not just JPS, but every school system across the state. They just adjusted the threshold. We're going to go down. Grades are going to go down across the entire state of Mississippi. We need to be prepared to respond. We're just now seeing the effects of COVID. We've got to make sure that those high quality instructional materials and that pedagogy is there. I cannot stress that enough on behalf of the babies in the entire city. And then also thinking about the business and thinking about these buildings and all the other stuff that affects our neighborhoods. I think you're well prepared to tackle those issues. I know you're going to be present. You're going to be alarming these bells. So I happily support your nomination.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Parkinson. Mr. Scott, I know that you're a graduate of that little school across from UMC. I don't remember, but it's Murrah.
Yes, I am.
But it's Murrah, which at one point was the flagship, but Callaway is the flagship, has been for quite a while.
Okay, okay. Here we go.
Having said that, you know, I've interacted with Mr. Scott quite a bit because we tend to do similar work. I support the district. He supports several districts. And he does a lot to get our kids to college. That's where he works, get to college. And so I'm very excited about your nomination. I can't vote for you today, though. I'm going to recuse myself because technically after this vote, he'll be my boss. And teachers do need raises. But anyway, I'm going to pass the gavel to Vice President Harley and step out of the room. And I recuse myself for those reasons stated. Clerk, you got it? And I'll be back after y'all vote. All right.
Okay, are there any other questions? Councilman Spencer?
I'd like to make a couple of statements. I first want to commend Councilwoman Brown Thomas for the tenacity she employed to continue to raise up the nomination of Mr. Lee Scott II. I'm not going to say I tried to blow her off because I didn't try to blow her off, but I just kept having other things to do, and she was tenacious about it, and I really appreciate that. And upon meeting Lee Scott, I understood why. This gentleman is a really, really strong candidate and has been a demonstrated advocate for education in our community. He's demonstrated it in a number of organizations that he is associated with, but in particular, the Get to College program that's run by the Wilbert Hines Foundation. That program has impacted through Mr. Scott's work more than 1,000 students who were probably wondering, what's my next big step? And so his being on this board, I think, will not only strengthen the preparation of young people who are matriculating through our education system, but he'll also be there in that position to help them get to the next step. So I wholeheartedly commend him to the council for its consideration of confirmation to the Jackson Public School Board of Trustees. I also want to mention that his daddy is here, Mr. Lee Scott Sr. Mr. Scott is a well-known man of God in our community. He's minister of music at the Free Christian Ministry down in South Jackson. They've been actively involved in the South Jackson community for several decades. And Lee Scott II is a chip off the old block.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Mr. Councilman Parkinson first.
Thank you so much. Mr. Scott, one other thing that I just want to get your insights on is I think it's really, really important that the school board and the city council work in collaboration. I think sometimes there's this notion that you go over there and you do your thing, we'll stay over here and do our thing. But the way that we pave roads affects your schools, and the way that you educate kids affects how we do our business. And so will you commit to working particularly with your council person, but all the city council in your capacity as a school board member?
Absolutely. It's vitally important.
Thank you.
And Mr. President, one last thing, it's,
Vice President, go ahead.
well, you're the president now.
Okay.
You know, I think it should not go unnoticed that Mr. Scott brings a level of youth to this school board. He will be one of the youngest, if not the youngest, person ever to serve on our school board if he is confirmed by this council. At the age, I think, of 32, he brings a lot of experience, but also a lot of youthful vigor and a sense of what the possibilities are for our young people that may be represented in a manner different than what we normally have. And I think that's important for that school board as well.
Yes, sir, I agree. Did you have a comment?
Just to also